I just wrote a script which counts from 1 to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, that works great. It says each number for half a second, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But what if I wanted to count to a big number, like 10 or 100 or a million? Could I keep just saying say 6, say 7, say 8, say 9? Well, I could. Of course, that's not very practical if the numbers are getting really, really big that I want to count to. So there must be another way of doing this. Of course, I'm going to make a variable. You knew this was going to happen. I'm going to make a variable, and I'll call the variable number. It's going to represent the number that I'm counting. I'm going to begin the number. Now, we haven't used this before, I don't think. I'm going to set the number initially to the starting value that I want to count from. Well, I'd like to count from 1. And then I'm going to repeat however many times I want to count. Well, in this particular case, let's say I want to count to 5. I'll say repeat 5 times. Instead of saying say 1, I'm going to say the number. And let's give this a run and just see what happens. So I made a script variable called number. I'm setting it to 1, and then 5 times I'm going to say the number. Let's see what this does. 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. Well, it did count 5 times, but it just said 1 each time. How am I going to get that number to increase each time? Let's go back to variables. Now, there's more than one way to do this, but I'm going to use the change block. So after I say the number, I'm going to change the number by 1. In this case, I'm counting by ones. Now, obviously, I could type anything I wanted, but since I'm counting by ones, I'm going to leave this at 1. And let's see if this does what I want. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there you go. Now, of course, I could count by 2s if I wanted to. I could just type a 2 there. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, and so forth. So it counted 5 times. 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Is that 5? I think so. Could I have started the number at something else? Sure. I could start the number at 0. Now I'm counting by 2s to 10. Didn't include 10. It started at 0, 0, 2, 4, 6, 8. I think that was 5 times. Now, sometimes I'll use this changed number by something. Actually, let's make this go back to 1. So now I'm counting by 1s. I'm starting from 1. And this is going to do my 1 to 5 again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's another way that I could change this number by 1, and you'll see this often in programming. I'm going to set, and this is going to seem a little weird initially, instead of changing the number by 1, I'm going to set the number to, I have to go to operators, I'm going to set the number to whatever the number used to be plus 1. Now again, I know this seems a little weird, but this is a very common way of writing code, and you'll see this a lot. So basically what this does is it adds 1 to number, and it saves it back into number. And it does this 5 times. So number equals 1, then it says, let's add 1 to number, save it back into number, and so forth. And it keeps going, and let's give this a quick run. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Notice it does the exact same thing as the original script, counts from 1 to 5. What if I wanted to, I'm just going to make one more little change. What if I wanted to count to whatever number the user entered? I'm going to ask the user, in other words, what number they want to count to. Now you know how to use an ask already. I'm going to ask, oops, having clicking problems here. What number do you want to count to? Question mark. I'm going to make a second script variable, and actually, you know, I like to have that up top there. I'm going to make a second script variable, and maybe I'll call it count to. It's going to represent the number that I want to count to. So instead of repeating 5 times, I'm going to repeat count to number of times. There's one more thing I have to do here, though. I have to set count to to whatever the user entered in the ask statement. So I'm setting count to whatever their answer is for what number they want to count to. I'm going to repeat that many times, and then I'm going to say the number and increase the number by 1. Let's just give this a quick try. What number do I want to count to? I'd like to count to 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think it works. I think it's your turn to give it a try.